Okay, 6th graders, today we're taking a look and building our knowledge, building into functions, tables, and graphs and how they all relate to one another. By the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to use function tables to generate and graph ordered pairs. So what is a function exactly? A function is a rule that produces exactly one output value for each input value.
Mama.
And it's represented by a rule. The input is the value substituted into the rule or equation. And typically when we're looking at equations, it's represented by x. And the output is the value that results from the substitution of the input value. And it's usually y. And the nice thing is we can use tables to organize input and output values. So we're going to find the output for each input. Our rule is that y equals 4x minus 2.
I love you, Mom.
Alright, so if we're looking at this, on our table, you can see the input values that were given to us. We have a spot for the rule and then a spot for our output or our y values. So for example, we have 4 times x, so here we have 4 times 1 minus 2. Well, 4 times 1 is 4, minus 2 is 2. So when x is 1, as our input, our output would be 2.
And 4.
So what happens when our input value is 3? And then it becomes 4 times 3 minus 2. Order of operations, 4 times 3 is 12, minus 2 is 10. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try it for 5. Alright, so on this one we have 4 times 5, which would be 20, minus 2 would be 18. Now part of the reason that we make tables is that it makes our functions easier to graph.
Hi, Dad.
So if our function rule is y equals 2x, our input values are 0, 2, and 4. So our rule would be
I said hi to Dad.
2 times 0, which would be 0. So our ordered pair would be 0 for our input x and 0 for our output y. When you go ahead and pause the video and try the next two on your own. Alright, for our next rule, we have 2 as our input being multiplied by 2, which makes our output 4. So our ordered pair would be, oops, not 0, would actually be 2, 4. And when our input value is 4, we have 2 times 4, which would be 8. So our ordered pair would be 4, 8. Now that we have our ordered pairs, we can graph those on the graph. Remembering x is our horizontal and y is our vertical. Our first ordered pair is 0, 0. Then we have 2, which means we go to the right 2 and up 4. And then over 4 and up 8. Now on this particular graph, 7 and then 8 would actually be off the graph. So we're just going to draw that last point a little bit off the graph. Alright, so let's try a different function and see how you do with this one. So this function rule is y equals x to the second power. So why don't you go ahead and fill out the table and then graph the ordered pairs. So pause the video and try it out. Alright, as usual, our input values are going to be x. Our rule here is x to the second power. Our output is y, and then our ordered pair is going to be xy. So when we have 0 to the second power, we can either write it as 0 times 0, or you can write it as 0 to the second power. Either way, it would be 0. Ordered pair is going to be 0, 0. When x is 1, we have 1 times 1, which is going to be 1. So our ordered pair is 1, 1. When x is 2, we have 2 times 2, which would be 4. So our ordered pair would be 2, 4. So now we're going to go ahead and graph those, which would be 0, 0, 1, 1, and then 2, 4. And if you notice, this one's actually a little bit different. Unlike our last graph, there's a little bit of a curve to this one. So this would be a nonlinear function because it doesn't make a straight line.